Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Tuesday. Glad to have you. Lots to cover today. President Trump's big, beautiful bill could be in for a rough ride as it heads back over to the U.S. House of Representatives to hash out the changes that the Senate is making. The House Freedom Caucus appears to not be too impressed with the changes proposed by the Senate. The sniper who killed 2 firefighters in an ambush in Idaho was identified yesterday as a 20-year-old male. We have the latest details in today's show. Parents will do anything for their kids, and in this case, a dad proves it by jumping off of a cruise ship to save his daughter. And Joshua Aaron, who has worked in and around the tech industry for about 2 decades, he built his first app when he was 13. His latest, an iPhone app that alerts users to nearby ICE sightings. Is this not illegal? You're not going to believe this story. And GOP Chairman Drew McKissick joins us with his take on what's happening on Capitol Hill and the meltdown in the Democrat Party in New York City.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Quick update on the big, beautiful bill. Members of the House Freedom Caucus said yesterday that they would not support the Senate's suggestions of some changes because it doesn't include enough spending cuts, they said. As the Senate proceeded with a series of votes on amendments to the mega bill, the 32-member Freedom Caucus said that their GOP colleagues needed to make, quote, major changes if they expected the measure to pass the House and get to President Donald Trump's desk. The Freedom Caucus posted on X, the Senate's version adds $651 billion to the deficit, and that's before interest costs, which nearly double the total. That's not fiscal responsibility. It's not what we agreed to, the Freedom Caucus said. The Senate must make major changes and should at least be in the ballpark of compliance with the agreed-upon House budget framework. Republicans must do better. The current version of the spending bill would add $3.3 trillion to the national debt over the next decade, about $1 trillion more than projections from the House version. And this is according to analysis from the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. The thing is, there's been so much talk about this, I don't know that anyone really knows how much spending this is going to add, how much to the debt this may add. CBO says $3.3 trillion. Others say, not the case. I don't know. The New York Post points out that figure doesn't account for interest on the debt, which would likely push the bill's addition to the deficit closer to $3.9 trillion rather than the $3.3 that the CBO added. The increase for the national debt left members of the Freedom Caucus fuming over the weekend, as members warning that the bill would be dead on arrival in the House if it doesn't meet the group's demands. Leading that effort partly is Representative Ralph Norman from the 5th District of South Carolina. He said, I don't think it survives on the floor in the current form it's in. We told the senators that early on. And you may recall that Representative Norman was one of the initial House holdouts and negotiated some things to get the House version to a place that he could agree to. It's going to be interesting. Representative Eric Burleson added that not even additional cuts to Medicaid spending in the Senate will be enough to entice the caucus into supporting the bill. The Freedom Caucus made similar criticisms about the first version of the bill that House lawmakers voted on last month. They, in the end, they were able to rally and help the legislation pass. But who knows? They're saying it's not going to happen this time with the Senate changes. President Trump, GOP leaders, they have a self-imposed deadline of July the 4th, Friday, for the bill to become law. With talk like this, don't know that it's going to happen if it meets resistance when it is passed back over to the House. Republicans hold a 53-47 advantage in the Senate, a 220 to 212 edge in the House. If the Freedom Caucus is not supportive of it, there's not the votes. We're told that House Speaker Mike Johnson has already started meetings to try to do some negotiations to get this through. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a busy week in Capitol Hill. The sniper who shot 2 firefighters and killed them in an ambush in Idaho was identified yesterday as 20-year-old Wes Rowley with an eerie photo that shows him delivering a real sinister glare in the camera as if he's just dazing off, staring off into the distance. His body was found near his weapon at the scene of the fire he started Sunday afternoon to lure these unsuspecting firefighters to the area. This according to the Associated Press and law enforcement reports. He ended up killing 2 responding firefighters, critically wounding a third. It's unclear whether Rowley was eventually killed by a police officer's bullet or if he took his own life. Kootenai County Sheriff Robert Norris told reporters at a news conference yesterday, as of right now, they either don't know or he's not saying. I'm not sure which one it is. It all started Sunday around 2 o'clock on Canfield Mountain, which is north of Coeur d'Alene. When smoke started in the woods, it was reported by people in the area. First responders rushed to the scene, as they always do, only to be met by gunfire. Firefighters quickly realized that they had been lured into a trap, desperately called for backup, according to 911 calls. And one firefighter reported, "We're pinned down." He, in his frantic call, he said, "It's clear to me that this fire was set intentionally to draw us in. We need law enforcement up here immediately. We have another Coeur d'Alene firefighter down. We've got 2 unresponsive battalion chiefs down, multiple gunshot wounds, 2 Coeur d'Alene down." The fire was left to burn as the reinforcements battled to get the gunman and get the scene under control. Rowley previously lived in Arizona, according to officials, but was in Idaho working in a tree service business that according to his grandfather. Now, the old saying, "the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree," appears to be true in this case. This young man had a tumultuous childhood that had been affected by a very messy divorce between his parents, again, according to local law enforcement officials and reports. This culminated with his father allegedly making threats that were very similar to what this young man carried out Sunday, according to court papers from this bitter 2015 divorce. Rowley's mother wrote in a filing of her son's father, and this was reported by CNN, that he threatened to sit outside my house with a sniper rifle or burn my house down. Kind of eerie, isn't it? She also said that Rowley's father pushed her to the ground and punched several holes in the wall. Evidently, this man was very violent. His son followed in his footsteps. The grandfather of this young man was kind of baffled at the situation, saying that he wasn't a loner and that he had been had a very supportive family and group of friends. The grandfather said, "We had no reason to suspect that he would be involved in something like this." Neither of the 2 firefighters killed have been identified by authorities yet. The third firefighter was left fighting for his life after he was struck by a bullet. He is now in stable condition, thank goodness. Motivation behind this, unclear. However, the New York Post reports that internet detectives have identified a possible connection to a decades-old incident involving the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department and neo-Nazis. Now, we don't know if this young man was somehow involved with a neo-Nazi group. Here's the story. Sunday's incident happened 24 years to the day after a 2001 burning of a Aryan Nations compound in Hayden Lake, which is in that area. It's 7 miles from the incident on Sunday. This was during a fire training operation. There was a cabin, a compound. It had been sold to the department after the Aryan Nations national leader, Richard Butler, filed for bankruptcy over a settlement involving the shooting of a Native American woman and her son. The site was torched by the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department in a training exercise. Now, is this just a coincidence, or could there really be something here, a connection? It's eerie, isn't it? Could be. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. When I heard this next story, I thought somebody at CNN is making this up. Joshua Aaron is a young man who has worked in the tech industry for a couple of decades now. He built his first app, which was a blackjack game, at a computer camp when he was 13 years old. His newest app is designed for a very different purpose. I'm not so sure that it's even legal. It's used to alert people nearby to sightings of immigration and customs enforcement agents in their area. It is called Ice Block. And in early April, after watching President Donald Trump's administration begin its immigration crackdown, the White House's immigration policies have sparked mass protests, as you know, across the states. This young man said he couldn't just sit back and watch this happen. He had to do something. Here's the CNN interview where he's asked about his new app and why he's doing it.
When I saw what was happening in this country, I wanted to do something to fight back.
Joshua Aaron developed Ice Block. It's a free, crowdsourced app that alerts users when immigration and customs enforcement agents are spotted within a 5-mile radius of their location.
Will you just sort of explain what Ice Block is and how it works?
Sure. So imagine if you're walking down the street and a notification comes up on your device that says ICE has been spotted 4 blocks ahead. Instead of continuing down that path, you can turn left or turn around and avoid the situation altogether.
Aaron grew up Jewish and has a background in tech, music, and activism. He says he sees parallels between the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and Nazi Germany.
We're literally watching history repeat itself. And so I thought, what if there was an early warning system? And that's what became Ice Block.
I'm looking at LA now. I'm seeing one in East Hollywood. And then as I zoom out, it's showing me a few others.
One of the core principles of the design of this app is 100% anonymity for our user base. As of today, we have 20,000 users. We're hoping to grow that 10 or 100 times, of course. But there is no sign-up process. There is no user data collected. There's no user data even captured by our app.
Do you have a way of verifying the accuracy of the reports that people are making on the platform?
We don't, but what we've done is put some safeguards in place so that people can't, for lack of a better word, spam the database. Every reported sighting is deleted in 4 hours' time, as you can only report within a 5-mile radius of your own location. Beyond that, we have a 5-minute limit. So when you report a sighting, you can't report another one for 5 minutes.
ICE did not respond to CNN's request for comment regarding the app or Aaron's characterization of the agency's activity prior to the story's publication. On Monday, ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons released a statement strongly criticizing CNN's report and saying that ICE Block, quote, basically paints a target on federal law enforcement officers' backs, and that officers and agents are already facing a 500% increase in assaults.
Wow. So CNN admits that there's already been a 500% increase in assaults to police officers, ICE agents. But yet they want to promote this app. As you heard, he said he had 20,000 users at the time of this broadcast. Can you imagine how many he probably has now? ICE Block is designed as an early warning system. But yet they went on to say, there's a disclaimer there, that the app wasn't designed to interfere with law enforcement. Well, what exactly is it if you're giving them an early warning system, if you're alerting them? And as you heard this young man say, it's designed to give you that alert. So if you're walking towards an ICE agent, you can go another way. You can turn around and go back from where you came. You can take a right, you can take a left, you can do anything to avoid them. Is that not interfering with ICE operations? He said he hopes that the notifications will help people. The app provides a similar warning when users log a sighting. ICE, as you heard, did not respond to CNN's request. I mean, what exactly is it supposed to say? Other than they may want to investigate this guy. He was very proud of the fact that they don't use any type or it doesn't collect any personal data, reassuring users that their privacy protections will likely be the key to growing this app's use, because nobody's going to use it if they think it's going to be a tracking device. ICE Block has no surefire way, he said, of guaranteeing the accuracy of users' reports. He said he's built in those safeguards to prevent spamming. Aaron says that he has no plans to monetize the free app, but rather wants it to be a service to the community. His work on ICE Block stands in contrast, of course, to support that some leaders in Silicon Valley have shown to the Trump administration, including by donating, attending his inauguration. Some companies have also announced investments in expanding their U.S. presence following the president's push for domestic tech manufacturing. Aaron said when asked what he would say to those tech leaders, he said, I think I would say, grow a backbone. You can't just be about the money. Wow. How can an American businessman have that attitude about our country? Does he not realize what he's doing to our country? I mean, he's aiding and abetting illegals, right? I just can't imagine how that is legal. You think maybe he's going to get a knock on the door one day by Homeland Security? I mean, really, should the government, based on what they know about this man now, should they investigate him? Is this illegal? Let me know about your comments. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You can also leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. And let me know what you think. Should our federal government shut this guy down? Or is this just an entrepreneur? Again, he doesn't appear to be profit motivated. He says he's not going to make any money on it. But he's defying the federal government, is he not? Well, I'll tell you one person in the federal government who didn't seem to be too fond of the idea. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about this in her briefing yesterday. And, well, let me just let you hear her response.
Mary. Thanks, Caroline. I just watched a CNN segment on a new app called ICE Block, and it kind of appeared to be promoting this app where you can tell people where ICE agents are. Given the recent rise...
An app that tells people where ICE agents are?
Yes. And given the rise, I believe, 500% increase in assaults on ICE agents, I wanted to see if you could comment on that and why CNN would be promoting such an app.
Well, it's a very good question. I'll have to go back and watch the clip myself, but surely it sounds like This would be an incitement of further violence against our ICE officers. As you know, as you stated, there's been a 500% increase in violence against ICE agents, law enforcement officers across the country who are just simply trying to do their jobs and remove public safety threats from our communities. And that's something we as Americans, including journalists at CNN who live in many of these cities where illegal aliens are hiding and were let in from the previous administration, should be very grateful for. So we haven't seen the clip. We'll take a look at it, but certainly it's unacceptable that a major network would promote such an app that is encouraging violence against law enforcement officers who are trying to keep our country safe.
All right, you tell me. Is this young man not in the crosshairs of the Trump White House now? And what about CNN? I mean, President Trump doesn't care too much about CNN anyway. CNN could find themselves being investigated as well. I mean, this whole story, this young guy, again, his users were probably ballooned. Of course, I don't know. Maybe he won't get that big of a jump because, I mean, how many people actually watch CNN? But still, he got what he wanted, some notoriety, some promotion of his app. But it may be one of those situations to where he may regret that he ever got that promotion. And CNN, they may regret that they ever did the story. I mean, does CNN, should they be held responsible? Are they literally promoting something that is illegal? If it's not illegal, it certainly is not very patriotic. It's not supportive of our great country, is it? It's not supportive of an administration that is trying to keep our community safe by enforcing our laws and by holding people responsible who have come here illegally to begin with. It's helping them. It's like maybe they're a sanctuary network. Is there such a thing? I mean, we have sanctuary states. We have sanctuary cities. Maybe CNN is a sanctuary network, and they're trying to help these people simply because they just hate Donald Trump. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, you know, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. As we continue to watch the progress of the big, beautiful bill, we talked about it earlier in today's show. You know, that's the headlines. That's what we're all going to be watching this week as the U.S. Congress rushes towards the deadline that President Trump has given them of July the 4th. Now, look, the world's not going to come to an end if they don't get it done by July the 4th. That's just a self-imposed deadline that they all have pretty much agreed to. If they don't get it, then I think they need to stay there and work through the 4th of July till they come up with it, right? But it's interesting, the response of a lot of Americans around the country in a Fox News national poll that was just released. Surprisingly, by a 21-point margin, voters who were asked by Fox whether they favor this or not, most oppose it, 59%. Only 38% of Americans told Fox News that they supported this. Now, we understand that Democrats are going to wholeheartedly oppose it. Democrats have been attacking it from day one, and they're using the typical arguments, talking about, the restructuring of Medicaid, that people are going to lose their health coverage. when all along the president and House leadership, Senate leadership have been very clear that the cuts in Medicaid are people who should not be on Medicaid anyway, who are the so-called able-bodied adults who are capable of working, and it's time that they go to work. But no, the Democrats would have you thinking that that poor families or the elderly who can't afford health insurance, can't afford health care, are going to be cut. The changes to Medicaid, as well as cuts to the SNAP program, the food stamps. Again, children aren't going to go hungry. Low-income families who are having a hard time aren't going to go hungry. But those red-blooded Americans, male Americans who are capable of being out there cutting grass or doing something and are collecting food stamps, they're going to have to go to work, as it should be. And so maybe the argument that the Democrats have been making, maybe people just don't quite understand it. It was interesting, the response. I ran by and visited Nana Hudson yesterday, my mom. And she's 80, soon will be 87 years old. And, you know, when you get that age, you get confused sometimes about things. And she had just been listening, watching the news. And she was asking me, she said, should I call Senator Graham's office? You know, they've been telling me on TV to call Senator Graham and tell him to vote no on this bill. I said, well, Mother, why would you vote no on this? Well, she doesn't really know other than they said so on the TV. She's been seeing some of these PACs and their ads. And I asked her very simply, I said, well, let me ask you. You've told me all along that you don't think that your Social Security should be taxed. Do you want taxes to stop on your Social Security? Well, yeah. I said, well, you better be calling Senator Graham and asking him to vote yes. And she had this very confusing look on her face, like, well, but they said, and you know who they is, but they said that my taxes will go up if this bill passes. And that's just the tactics that they have maybe successfully used. If a lot of Americans are telling this Fox News poll, if 59% of people said that they're opposed to it, their tactics may be working. According to the poll, about half of the respondents questioned said the bill would hurt their family. 49% believes that it would hurt their family, while about a quarter thought it would help them, 23%. Another 26% said it wouldn't make any difference, or they didn't know. 60% felt that they had a good understanding of what's in the measure, the big, beautiful bill. And while those voters who were more likely to favor the legislation than those who were unfamiliar with it, more still think that it will hurt rather than help. 45% to 34%, even those who think they understand what's in there. As you can imagine, there is a partisan divide, according to the Fox News poll. This was conducted June 13th through the 16th, so just over, a couple of weeks ago. Nearly three-quarters of Republicans, 73%, favors the bill. Nearly 9 in 10 Democrats, 89%, and nearly three-quarters of independents, 73%, oppose the bill. So again, it appears the Democrats' messaging has been successful among their own and among independents. And it's no wonder that people like my mom are confused about whether they're for it or against it, as we say. We'll see. Great story of a fearless father. You know, parents will do anything for their kids. And this story is of a dad on a Disney cruise ship who jumped overboard when his daughter fell overboard on Sunday. He miraculously grabbed her and had to tread water holding her for 20 minutes until they could be rescued. It was the Disney Dream Ship. It was headed from Florida to the Bahamas when that man overboard alert suddenly boomed. A fellow passenger posted on Facebook, a girl fell overboard from the fourth deck and her dad went in after her. Now, the fourth deck, that's pretty high up. I'm surprised that they both survived. Other vacationers watched as the bright yellow rescue boat was lowered into the water. It eventually made its way. You can watch the video. It's been posted multiple times. Made its way over where the dad and the daughter were seen just treading water in the Atlantic, holding their head above. Again, it took him about 20 minutes as he was holding his daughter. She was the daughter. The video that I've seen, and I don't know that anyone has confirmed her age. She looked to be like maybe 5 or 6 in that age group. One passenger posted, "Lots of praying folks on this ship." Dwayne Smith was his name, who reported that the little girl fell overboard and her dad jumped overboard to try to save her. Said both the little girl and the dad were both successfully rescued. The fourth deck of the ship is one of the, I guess, lowest publicly accessible platforms, according to the cruise line. It's about 50 feet. Still, that's a 50 feet into the ocean. That had to be horrifying for that little girl. According to the Disney Cruise Line, that area contains a theater, an outdoor jogging track. The deck is open air. It does have railings that they reported of chest height. And look, I've been on cruises before where they have these walking decks, and she probably was climbing on the wall. She'd had to been, because they're high enough that even an adult couldn't just fall over. The railings have a plexiglass, according to Disney, that prevents climbing on their bars. Disney Cruise Line confirmed that its crew swiftly rescued 2 of the guests. They said, "We are committed to the safety and well-being of our guests, and this incident highlights the effectiveness of our safety protocols." Of course, it doesn't highlight the idea of, well, how did she get over the wall to begin with? We'll probably eventually find out. Disney Cruise Liners say that they're equipped with an overboard detection system that alerts the ship's crew to people tumbling from the vessel into the sea in real time. Wonder how that works. Is there some kind of motion detector or something? Well, I don't guess it matters. The big thing is that this little girl was safe and her dad was safe. And look, kudos to the dad. Again, parents would do anything for their kids. That was quite brave of him to jump into the ocean to save his little girl. God bless him. God was watching over him for sure. Joining me on our guest line, Drew McKissick, chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well this morning. Hope you are.
I am wonderful. And boy, it's going to be a busy week as we head into the 4th of July weekend. The Senate, of course, set to hopefully vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Okay, so what does Chairman Drew's crystal ball show us?
Well, look, I have all ideas that it will pass. Something will pass simply because something has to pass for a lot of reasons. I mean, first off, just because of what's in the bill and what would happen if the bill doesn't pass. We know that within the bill, you've got essentially the best border control and immigration bill in the history of the country, the best energy development and security bill in the history of the country, the best economic development bill in the history of the country. But on the downside, if it does not pass, you're going to have the largest tax increase in American history. You're going to have capital gains taxes go up, which means family farms and businesses could risk being split up because of the super high capital gain taxes and the death taxes essentially rather.
Yep.
A lot of American jobs and energy production could be offshored, illegal aliens taking advantage of programs like Medicaid and Medicare intended for Americans. You add all that to the political implications, and that is that you've got Republicans will be looking at a midterm election next year, essentially without anything legislative to show for Donald Trump's victory. I mean, he's been able to do what he's been able to do in executive orders, but a lot of what he wants to do takes legislation. And that's what this bill contains, the things I mentioned a minute ago. And that's a lot of the stuff he campaigned on. And people need to see us being successful at the things that he campaigned on.
Yeah. The president has made it pretty clear that if you do not get in line and cooperate here and pass this bill, which is going to benefit all Americans, that he's probably going to get involved in a primary against you next year. We've seen just yesterday, Senator Tom Tillis say, "Hey, look, I'm all in, all done after this one." Do you think that had something to do with Tillis saying, "Hey, I'm out of here"?
Well, possibly, but also the fact that, he tends to be, a guy who wins by a whisker every time he's on the ballot. That may have had something to do with it. I have all ideas Republicans will be able to recruit someone who'd be much stronger Republican candidate going forward there in North Carolina. But I'm sure that didn't discourage him from thinking about quitting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. New York City Democrats have nominated a guy who wants to tax the rich white people and take over the grocery stores and have the city run them. Do you agree that this just shows how out of touch the Democrats still are, and they didn't learn anything in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, give them a chance, and it'll actually show you what they're really all about. When you scratch the surface, it's about grievance, it's about racism, and about socialism. Again, a guy who doubled down on his rhetoric on wanting to defund the police and because the police are racist and so many other reasons, and actually believes that it would be a good idea for a government to run grocery stores and to be able to, essentially own the food that gets sold to people. And, I think it was Ronald Reagan years ago that suggested that if you want more of something, subsidize it. If you want less of something, tax it. Liberals prove that just about every time when it comes to policy. And then you look at socialism and what they want to spread. And, he said that socialism only works in two places, heaven or hell. It's not going to do well for them at the ballot box. I mean, we've seen whenever they have just, the voters get a little inkling of what they're talking about. When you take the mask off, and just jump right out there and say, yes, I'm full-blown socialist. I mean, that doesn't mean it won't work in New York City. Now, don't get me wrong. But, in most places around the country, no, it's not going to work. But this just gives us a vivid example to point to in other places around the country.
Sure, exactly. With me today, Chairman of the South Carolina Republican Party, Drew McKissick. Since we last talked, we also took out Iran's nuclear capabilities. Did you ever believe that Iran would agree to a ceasefire that quickly?
Well, that was a pretty big beatdown, quite honestly, that the Israelis had put on them for, almost 12 days, and then capping it off with, what President Trump ordered and just the capability of what we could do if we needed to go further. Not surprising that, whether or not it's genuine is a whole other matter. Not surprising that they would, cry uncle for a little bit to try to, get themselves back together. Because remember, the most important thing to them in the meantime is staying in control of their own country.
Right.
And the longer this went on, the harder it was going to be for them to maintain control of their own country. I mean, this is an oppressive regime that's been around since, 1978? And they've already had to deal with several massive protests, in the last decade, getting harder to keep things under control, much less when you've had so much of your security apparatus blown to smithereens by the Israelis. That doesn't surprise me. Now, again, whether or not it's, serious and, they're going to calm down and, play nice, I don't believe that for a minute. And just give them enough time to catch their breath.
Sure. One final question for you, Mr. Chairman. I received a text message from a listener, Jean, who wanted me to ask the question. She received, I think this was in the mail or maybe an email, a request for a contribution for her official Republican membership. And she's asking, is this legitimate? And I said, well, it takes money to run the party.
Well, always pay attention to the fine print whenever you're looking at the bottom of any solicitation you get. There are other organizations, some that are based out of Washington, D.C., that claim to be representing state Republicans. That is not the state Republican Party. Look on the bottom and see if it says South Carolina Republican Party or SCGOP. If it does, that's us, and that means your money stays right here in South Carolina helping to elect Republicans. If not, think twice.
Yep, and it's always going to come from the SCGOP if it's officially from the state party. And you do, it does take money to run the party, right?
Well, it does, 100%. I mean, that's only, they don't call it the mother's milk of politics for nothing. But, if you're interested in supporting the party, I would suggest go to scgop.com. Check out the Elephant Club, and you can support the party on a regular basis at whatever level you like. That helps us do our job of electing Republicans. That's what we're here for.
Yep. Chairman Drew McKissick, always a pleasure. Have a great week.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now, you too.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.